Please note, for maximum picture quality, it may be necessary to adjust the tracking control on your VCR.
This is the true story of a man and a gun and a car. The gun belonged to the man, the car might have been yours, or that young couple across the aisle. What you will see in the next 70 minutes could have happened to you, for the facts are actual. And this is Adjust Your Tracking. We're a podcast where we're on a venture to watch a century of cinema, decade by decade, year by year. I am one half of your hosts, Liam Delaney, and with me is...
Oliver Jones. I love how you said car then. And a car!
Did I? That was my attempt at dramatic reading, and I realised halfway through I'm not dramatic at all. I'm just camp.
I need to put some dramatic music behind you.
Yeah, like the music in this film. That
it's good music, actually.
Yeah, I really like that music. I really liked it a lot, actually. It's my favourite part about it. How are you? Before we talk about the film.
Yeah,
so
I'm good.
I was almost going to go straight into it then, and we're not allowed to do that. That's the levels.
Naughty. I'm good. Yeah, I'm just building props and sets and characters, and I just took in an order of 100 blocks of plasticine today, so that's what I'm doing. The usual, to be honest.
Wow.
So what have you been up to?
100 blocks of plasticine. So what are you making with the plasticine? I want to know.
Spoilers. Well, I have to make T-Bone McLaser Blast again.
Sure.
I have to make Alice again.
Okay. So you have to make them again, even though they already exist?
Well, they don't exist anymore. I mean, after I did the first video, I wasn't expecting to make another video with Alice in, so I dismantled it and made T-Bone on top of the Alice armature. Do you know what I mean?
Really? Just cannibalised them. But
the thing is, though, like, the more they're not like the Nightmare Before Christmas armature ones, which are kind of like, they're pretty robust because they're like made in moulds and stuff like that.
Okay.
These are made out of plasticine, so the more you fiddle around with them, the more fucked around they get, to be honest. And you have to, like,
they just kind of get a bit worn out and stuff.
Yeah, so like I had to rebuild Alice about 5 or 6 times, maybe even more. I mean, to be honest, after every shot you're having to fix
to fiddle.
Them. Yeah, like if you notice at the beginning of the last video, T-Bone McLaser Blasts, I can't say that name without sounding really stupid. His hairline is really high. But by the end of the video, because I've squished his face that many times, his hairline is like right down by his eyes. No one notices.
I don't notice at all, no. Yeah. Do you shoot in order then? Do you shoot chronologically?
I do, just because I think it helps me and it helps Brandon.
That makes sense, okay.
Or sometimes I do the harder shots first for Brandon, so he can get those out of the way first.
Right, you sure? Yeah. So it means he knows how long he's got the harder stuff that takes longer out the way than he can go in to do the other stuff. That makes sense.
So how are you anyway?
I'm okay. I'm freezing cold. That's because it's winter.
It's that damp cold though, isn't it? The one that gets in your bones and you're like...
It gets all the way through you. It's bloody England. It shoots all the way through you and you just constantly feel cold.
I've been in countries where it's snow, but you don't feel... Even though it is cold, you don't feel it like this kind of cold. Do you know what I mean?
Like I know exactly what you mean.
Like, where did we go? I can't remember where we went. Was it Estonia? And it was like snowy and icy.
Yeah,
it didn't feel that.
Tallinn, yeah.
It didn't feel that cold.
It was kind of It was kind of like when you went outside. It was like chilly, like it pushed you in the face, hit you in the face with like how cold it was. But like when you're indoors, it didn't feel like it does in this country. When you just constantly feel a bit, I don't know, just cold is the weird word, but damp, damp. So that's about it for me. I don't know, what am I doing? Working? I don't think anything interesting's happening.
No, one of your projects is up for an award.
Yes, it is. Good point.
That's a big thing.
That's really cool. Yes, so we've been nominated for the current archaeology rescue project of the year for the work we did on the Herefordshire Viking hoard, which you can find a write-up of the story about that hoard in the New Yorker. Actually, it came out last week.
Pretty amazing.
You can find that online. Yeah, it's an amazing story. Really cool article. I really recommend it as well. And I've never had anything that I've done in my life, in terms of archaeology, actually getting printed in a kind of a mainstream mainstream magazine, like Interest magazine. Normally, like, you just get stuff printed in kind of, specialists mags or specialist journals and stuff like that. So that was really cool, and I really like that. And that's, a big change and stuff.
Can I get the film rights?
Yes, you can. Honestly, I think it'd make kind of an interesting film. Really, the story's kind of baffling, and I honestly, you should talk to the New Yorker reporter and see if you can kind of get the rights from her, because she would have the rights to her story. So,
who do you think should be in the film adaptation?
Oh God, I don't know. Oh Jesus.
Who would play you?
I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue who would play me.
I know what most people would say.
What is that, James Spader?
Yeah.
I think he's a little old now.
Mocap him.
Okay.
But he'll look like his character in Age of Ultron. He'll just walk around as like
That's fine.
a robot with glasses on.
Oh, that'd be really cool. I'm trying to think. I know. I'm going to try and cast it now. So next week I'll tell you who my cast is.
Okay, fan cast the
fan cast it. Even though you won't know most of the players, so it's a bit stupid. But I'll still tell you I cast. Like,
right.
But it was really interesting. It's really cool, and yeah, please, I don't know, vote for us on the Current Archaeology website, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can find. I'm sure you've tweeted it out. So if you follow Adjust Your Tracking on Twitter, which you should do, which is at Adjust Your Tracking with a YR, not a your.
Not a your.
I don't think that really makes sense, but
it works. It works fine. It's now a slogan.
But yeah, if you follow that, then you can probably find Liam. Or is it what's your actual Twitter handle? Is it
it's just _yen.
Yeah, okay.
YEN. Yeah.
So has anyone tried to buy that one off you? I know they tried to buy your Instagram account off you.
No one's ever tried to get my Twitter one, but my Instagram one is constant. Like, absolutely constant. I get people trying to hack my Instagram account. I got a text this week of someone like, click here to get back into your Instagram account and stuff. Like, I get it constantly, and people want to buy it, but it's like, I almost just want to change my name because I don't care.
Why don't you
just leave me alone?
So you don't fancy selling it then?
Well, I can't be bothered for playing around with that. You wouldn't get the money, and it will just end up in Bitcoin somewhere and some bullshit. Whoever you're selling it to would look to try and cheat you. So you just it seems like more.
If they're going to try and hack you,
really.
they're not exactly the most reputable.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just a bit. Fuck it. I don't really care enough to play with this game. To post my 3 pictures I post every month.
Of your new Doc Martens. How are your Doc Martens?
They're very good. They're a little tight still, but I'm going to keep wearing them until they loosen up a little bit. But I really like them. It's my first pair of Doc Martens I've owned, actually.
I had some at school, and I remember I went to a nightclub for Eddie's number 8 for a Halloween party.
Sure.
And me, I dressed up as a Ghostbuster, standard. And I wore my Doc Martens, and throughout the course of the night, I got a bit tired, so I just took my Doc Martens off and just put some trainers on, and then just left my Doc Martens there, and I never saw them ever again.
No way. No way.
Well, you have a few too many drinks, you tend to get things.
God, the only time I lost a boot when it was I can't remember what birthday of mine it was, but me and Robin went down to Avebury, the Stone Circle place. And we decided to have just a walk around the whole day, and we took a couple of bottles of wine with us, a bottle of champagne and stuff like that, and we're walking around and drinking champagne on top of burial mounds and things like that. And then as we were walking back to my birthday in February, it was already pitch black, and we're still walking back through these fields and stuff like that. And we get back to the car park, and we change out of our boots and stuff like that, and jump back in the car. I think it started raining as well, and then the next morning, no, not even next morning, a week later when I'm going to get my walking boots, that I only had one of them in the car.
Oh, no.
And it's definitely, I just left a boot just in that car park on its own. It was funny. I even called up, because we parked in a English Heritage or National Trust car park, and I even phoned them up and said, look, this is stupid, but did anyone happen to give you one boot?
Nothing.
Because it's mine and I kind of want it. And she just thought I was an idiot and ignored me.
I went to the New Forest, Peak District, sorry, just after the first lockdown, to film something, and I was filming a performer under a tree, and I put like the big fold out like reflector lights that you pull out of a bag, and it kind of like one of those tents. It kind of goes.
Oh, yeah,
kind
sure.
of like So I placed it in the tree, so it kind of blocked the sunlight coming down onto her. And
yes.
I came home and I had another job the next day, and I needed my reflector. I went to go and get it, and I was like, "Shit, where's my reflector?" And I was thinking, I didn't leave it there, did I? And then when I look back at the dailies from that shoot, you can see it in the background of all the shots just sitting on the tree, and I just left it there and I didn't notice it was just stuck in the top of the tree. Fuck. I don't know who looks after the Peak Districts, those kind of areas. I don't know. It was this wicked area. It's this one where it's got this, like, where the kind of the ground separates and it's kind of like all rocky. It's all green and kind of like, it's like a cave, but it's like it's open top.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever walked through that. It's this wicked quarry. Yeah. It's so cool.
I can picture it. That's cool.
I forgot what it's called now. Ever.
We used to go to the Peak District a lot at high school because of I did geology, and literally like that's where geology lives, especially in the Midlands. So like we're always like we're off to the Peak District.
it's ace. Like
it is, yeah.
You've got some great waterfalls around there. You've got some great terrain and stuff. It's quite filmic. Quite cinematic.
Yeah. Oh, whenever we end up not being in this hellhole of pandemics, you need to come down to like the Forest of Dean.
I've wanted to go there.
Scaling around there for a while and stuff like that. 'Cause they use that's got tons of filming locations. You couldn't shoot in like Puzzlewood and stuff like that, but because it's privately owned, but you can still go and visit easily. Like.
That's the one thing I liked about the Peak Districts. Is like I could, while there were people around, you could find like a little nook or area where people weren't there, or like I went like super early. We got there at like 7 a.m, and it was still summer. So like by the time I'd finished, that's when people started to turn up. So
sure.
But anyway,
enough of that.
Have you watched any films today? This week?
I have watched one film today, but I have watched so many films over the past. I've been trying to be good and watch things because the year's coming to an end, and I need to have opinions about things on it. And I've slacked and not had opinions about things. So
you always have opinions. That's the one thing you have.
Yes, but they're normally not informed by anything. So like I watched loads. Like I watched like the Trial of Chicago 7, which I thought was kind of shit.
Okay.
Great performances, really great performances, but the story is bollocks. And I think someone needs to stop Aaron Sorkin now. Like he needs to be he needs to be stopped.
In what way? Like what?
He's completely like, like the West Wing.
Yeah.
Like he's treating history like the way he writes the West Wing, and the way he characterized this story and the characters in it are nothing to do with their actual beliefs. It's all to do with his politics, his liberal politics and stuff like that.
Right.
He's not even like liberal, but like democratic. He's a Democrat, and it's all like pushing it around that Democrat way. And characters such as the Chicago and 7 stuff like that, like Abby Hoffman. They weren't fucking Democrats. Like they were countercultural people. If you agree with them or not, like the words that he put in their mouths in this isn't what they believed.
Yeah, got you.
It just isn't. It's a miss kind of use of like history, really. And I just thought it was pretty crap, really, to do that. Performances are great. Sacha Baron Cohen's awesome.
It's one of his first
kind of not character roles.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Like Mark Rylance is awesome. Like Eddie Redmayne was a bit odd, but like Yahya Abdul Mateen, the second, I think his name is. He's so good in that film as the Black Panther guy. His name's got in my head for a second, but he's so good in it. Like and it's just a shame that was the film they kind of made. Really, I thought. But
well, he's the guy in Watchmen, isn't he? And
yes, I think he's in Aquaman as well.
Yeah, he plays Black Manta, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's really good, and I think he's one to watch actually.
But so like, Sorkin, this is like his second directorial film, isn't it? After like what, Molly's Game?
Molly's Game, yeah, which I actually never saw.
I didn't.
So I don't know if that was good or not.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, it was based on the true stories, isn't it? So I thought. So I think Michael Cera in it is basically kind of playing, I believe, is Tobey Maguire.
Okay.
Yeah. But I love Steve Jobs. I have to say, I thought Steve Jobs was really good.
I've actually never seen that. Even though I like the director, so I actually do need to watch that at some point. I avoided it because Steve Jobs annoyed me, and I was and it came out in a time when I didn't want to hear anything more about Steve Jobs, and that's kind of the reason I didn't watch it.
Well, you got that period of like several Steve Jobs films. There was one that had Ashton Kutcher one. And there was, I swear there was another one as well.
I think there was another one. There's that there is that one that has him and Bill Gates in it. Is it the Pirates of Silicon Valley or something like that? Is that what it's called? I can't remember now. But like, yeah, there is that film as well. And I think there was even a documentary. Yeah, okay, Pirates of Silicon Valley. It's a docudrama from 1999, and it has Steve Jobs was played by Noah Wilde, and Bill Gates was played by Anthony Michael Hall.
Okay.
That's a cast.
Feature films, here we go, yeah. I, Steve. Justin Long plays him. I think that may be a comedy.
That can't be, yeah.
Look at the poster. It's definitely a comedy one. Yeah, it's a Funny or Die one. But yeah. What else have you watched?
What else did I watch? After that, I watched Da 5 Bloods, which
I've wanted to watch that.
So good. Like, it is so good. It's a little too long. Like, I think, like, but whatever. Spike Lee can just do whatever he wants. Like, who am I to criticize him? Like, but once it kind of gets into it, I was hooked. Like, I was absolutely hooked by it, and I couldn't look away, and I just loved everything about it. I love the way that Spike Lee folds in kind of current event stuff and current footage with old stuff. I love the looking at, like, African American troops in Vietnam. I love the kind of way it was pushing, like, you know, conservatism and modern republicanism with African Americans and things. And then it's fucking shocking and gory and everything. It's a real treat. And Delroy Lindo, if he should win Best Actor this year. If he doesn't get nominated, that's a crime.
Well, but, I guess the problem is it's a Netflix film, did it come out during the pandemic, so it didn't get any theatrical play, or did it?
I have no idea. No idea, but it would be an absolutely criminal if he doesn't at least get nominated, because he's an absolute tour de force in this film. Like, in just absolutely tearing it up on screen. He's amazing. Like, and just for a career like his, he's always been like a bit of a bit player, you know, in films. Right. Like a character actor, not really bit player, but character actor. I think just take a role like that and just run with it. It was really cool to watch, and I really loved it. Same, all the cast are good, but Delroy was so
It's so weird looking at his filmography, because like you look at them and you know you've kind of got Do the Right Thing. She's got Game.
Clockers, I think he was in. Yeah.
Jungle Fever. He's got Game. Sorry, not She's Got Game. But then you see flipping Old Boy, and it just sticks out like a sore thumb. It's like
I forget that he remade Old Boy. I've never seen his remake of it at all. I really haven't.
I'm kind of interested to see it. I know that the villain character is Sharto Copley, and a little bit of Sharto Copley goes a long way.
It helps. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird when you heard he was making it. It was kind of like, what? Like, so there must be something that he's bringing to it. Spike Lee doesn't make stuff without like thought, you know, like. So there must be something there.
Yeah,
so I should watch it. And again, Spike Lee this film should be up for Best Picture, up for Best Director. I mean, are they ever going to give him those awards? Like, they really need to.
Well,
like,
Black Klansman was great.
It was. Yeah. I loved Black Klansman a lot. Yeah, I really did. I think that won Best Screenplay, so he did win an Oscar.
Yeah, he did.
I think Best Director, Best Picture, he really should be. It's insane that he's never won it, really.
Well, it's like it took Marty a long time to get one, didn't it? And And for some reason, I know they're very different filmmakers, but I link
them together. The New York filmmakers.
Do you know what I mean? I
know he's from Georgia originally, but I always think of him as a New York kind of filmmaker.
And it, maybe eventually he'll get one, and it'll be like, this is for all your.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, because he's had the Black Klansman was just last year, Da 5 Bloods this year. That's like a good twofer, and that's kind of things that awards kind of those groups think about, I think. So maybe it is the time of year to be like, look, okay, like you know, this is definitely yours now. This is kind of like, this might not be the best film you've ever made, but this is the best picture this year, kind of thing, and this is yours. So, even though Da 5 Bloods is up there, I know. Very honestly, I've never seen Do the Right Thing, so I can't. I know that's meant to be amazing, but
spoilers. We'll be covering
that's coming up.
The road.
So I'm sure we'll have a lot of Spike Lee to talk about then.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a filmmaker that I've seen a lot of his work. Looking at his filmography, I've probably seen half.
Same.
So I'd like to kind of, when we watch that film, I'd kind of want to watch
jump around a bit,
a few more, and just to kind of get a bit more more of his earlier ones, like.
There's so much of his early ones I don't know, I just don't know at all.
Yeah, my kind of goes from Clockers onwards. That's kind of what I know of his work, really. But
I know Summer of Sam. I know Clockers, Malcolm X, 25th Hour kind of thing. Inside Man. I
think Girl 6 is meant to be like one of the worst films that came out that year, allegedly. So I'm interested to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just got a huge filmography. Really, he's prolific as hell, and Da 5 Bloods is everything you want out of a Spike Lee film. It's got everything in it.
And no, you can't say Spike Lee film.
Spike Lee joint.
There you go.
Yeah,
You've either got pictures or joints.
Pictures or joints. I don't think you say joints in that accent.
No. What else you watched?
So what else did I watch? I watched Underwater.
Is that the one with the girl from Thailand, Kirsten Stewart? No.
Yes. Yeah.
I've heard this is quite good.
It's fine. I love Kirsten Stewart. I love Kirsten Stewart.
Great.
I do. She's one of my favourite actresses working.
Adventureland and Personal Shopper are great.
Oh, Personal Shopper's so good. Clouds of St. Marias is just wonderful. But she's great in this film. If to watch it for anything else but she's wonderful. She's doing a proper kind of Ripley-esque, scrawny kind of turn. It's fine. I'd say it's just, I enjoyed watching it. It's thinks it's Alien, but it's not quite, and it's a little overblown, little whatever, but it's fine. It's worth a watch, and I enjoyed it. It goes in places you weren't totally expecting, but then also everything you are expecting. So it's, I enjoyed it.
It came out early this year, so it kind of got lost, didn't it? Or was it?
Yeah. I think maybe one of the last cinema films this year.
I feel bad for her though, because like same with Robert Pattinson. Like a lot of people just completely judge her and him on those Twilight films.
Yeah,
and it just goes to show that the people who complain about them don't watch films because they don't see the great work that they've been putting out, and they've earned their dues to do these to be in the positions they're at now, to be a starring a character in a film like that or Batman or whatever, and it's get over yourself, watch.
Just get over it. And even honestly, Twilight is not as bad as it gets its credit for. We just have a thing in this culture for really hating stuff teenage girls like. And and it's just another one of those targets that we have. Teenage girls like this, so this is the worst thing that ever existed.
Do you know what? The first Twilight film is perfectly watchable. The second one's a bit shit. The third one I actually quite liked. I think that's by it's by the guy who did 500 Days of Summer, 30 Days of Night, the vampire film.
Oh sure, yeah.
But then, to be fair, the ones that Bill Condon did are pretty diabolical.
That's Breaking Dawn, isn't it?
I don't think that's his fault. I think just by that point the story had kind of
the story is pretty much
bonkers.
But this is whatever. I watch much worse stuff than that.
Yeah, same.
It's just I just get really fed up with this kind of elitism that you get with stuff like that. It's not worth it. God, what else? So I'll bash through these real quickly because I did watch loads. I watched Shirley, the film about Shirley Jackson, the horror writer, with Elizabeth Moss. Her and Michael Stuhlbarg are great in it. Odessa Young's really great as well. It's good. It's a good film. It's a little bit like it loses its way a little bit, but it's just a really great kind of performance-led thing, and yeah, I would recommend checking that one out. I watched the new Charlie Kaufman film, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I didn't vibe with this very well at all.
No.
Like I didn't like. It's. I think you should watch it and we'll have a chat about it. I think.
Okay.
I don't think it's too confusing. I think people think it's too confusing. I think one of the things it does suffer from is it really is a cinema film. I think being on Netflix is really bad. It's a film that you need to be locked in a dark room, with. Even the kind of credit scene is tiny text, it's made to be on like a big screen. And I think it looks fantastic, and I love Toni Collette, David Thewlis, are brilliant in it, but like the film kind of drops off a cliff for me at one point, and I think you might notice that like yourself.
Do you think he's a director? I mean, like, we all know that his best work is with other directors, be that like Spike Jonze or Michel Gondry.
Yeah.
But that said, I did actually like Synopticay New York.
Synopticay, yeah. I think Synopticay is still his best.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think my problem with the film was, honestly, there was large portions of the film that I was like, this isn't as interesting as you think it is. Like, your dialogue's not as interesting as you think it is. It's not as engaging as you think it is. Like, there's something else there, there's something not working with it. Whereas, and I love Eternal Sunshine being John Malkovich, an adaptation. I just love those films. Even Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, I love it. Like, I like Charlie Kaufman. I just, I just didn't really vibe with this film, really. Didn't
Clooney change the ending of that? Like, and I think Kaufman got really pissy about it.
That sounds like Kaufman.
Because I think George Clooney said it was a perfect script, so I had to make it. And then Kaufman's like, well, if it's so perfect, why didn't you do my ending?
Yeah, that sounds like Charlie Kaufman.
My biggest sin is I still haven't watched Anomalisa yet, which is crazy considering what I do for a living.
That's true.
I own it.
That's true.
I own it, but I still haven't watched it. And I think I was just I listened to him on the like the circuit rounds for that, and like talking to like Mark Commode and stuff like that. And they just sounded so arrogant.
Honestly, that interview put me off that film,
and it really put me off watching it.
Yeah,
it
really did.
Like,
what was it they asked about? They said something, and they just described cinema, and like it was just, you're an asshole.
Well, animation is just
a series of moving pictures.
It's like fuck off.
Fuck off. That's what all cinema is. You just like it doesn't actually move. No, it causes the illusion of movement or something. They were like, and it's like, fuck off. Yeah. Like really, it really put me off it. I know that's really pathetic, but and the last one. I watched New Mutants by Josh Boone.
Any good?
I think I kind of liked it. I think. It has so many problems. It has so many problems. This film does. It's not like, mainly the accents are some of the worst things ever. Like, it's like, I don't even know why they attempted some of the accents. Like,
is it as bad as Haunting on Hill House, or no? What's it called? Haunting on Blythe Manor.
Blythe Manor, whatever it's called. It's like Charlie Heaton plays like a guy from Kentucky. Charlie Heaton's from like Bristol or something, and like
is he the one who's from Stranger Things? No.
Yes, he is.
He's friends with my friend Tom. Actually, he knows him. He's in he was in a band. Yeah.
His accent in this film.
Is it bad?
It's like what's going on?
I'll pass on your critiques to him.
And Maisie Williams, I love Maisie, but she's great. Her Scottish accent is okay. And Anna Taylor-Joy, I love Anna Taylor-Joy. Her Russian accent is, oh dear God. And it's just like, because it's like three of them like that, it kind of, they compound to each other. Do you know what I mean? Like they all gets a bit worse, and I think actually Maisie Williams' accent might not be too bad, but because you're so used to how she talks and like in Game of Thrones, it was just a bit like, why are you Scottish? Like, what's going on here? And like New Mutants, the fucking production of this film is insanity. Like basically like God, I can try and sum up, but during production, basically Fox decided that they didn't want to have like Josh Boone's original vision. They wanted more of a young adult kind of coming of age film. So he changed on set and changed his shooting and edited towards that. And then It came out. This is how long ago this is. And It came out, and it was a successful like horror with like teens in it. So Fox went back to him and went, can you actually just play up your horror elements, actually, and make it more of a horror film? And Josh Boone's like, that's what I wanted to shoot. That's what like it was gonna be. So like, sure, okay, we'll do that. And then like it just kind of, they then moved it to avoid Deadpool 2. They had to kind of try and piece in reshoots, I think.
Did they even do the reshoots? I think there's like conflicting.
Well, no, because they didn't do the reshoots, as far as I can tell, because they kept on moving it to try and like not get in trouble. They were scared of like any news coming out of reshoots. People would like look at it like Fantastic Four, that it like big reshoots kind of ruin the film.
But the thing is,
this was reshoots with Josh Boone on with them as well. But
reshoots have been part of films since forever. Do you know what I mean? It's not,
I know.
People think it's a dirty thing. Like it happens. Like, you know, a lot of filmmakers, they'll probably make like 85 to 90% of their film. Edit it, see where they're at, and then they know, okay, well, I definitely need that. I want to play this, so I won't bother with that, but I want to play this up a bit more. And I think, you know, not every, you know, a lot of like smaller budget films probably tend not to reshoot, but like definitely like the bigger tentpole films, they have like a contingency plan, don't they, in case they have to kind of like, But I guess with
you got other elements coming in, like the Essex. What they call the Essex Corporation were big things in New Mutants. Essex Corporation is Mr. Sinister. You might remember the end of, was it Apocalypse? I think it's John Hamm is playing Mr. Sinister. So he was meant to be in this.
Was it John Hamm or was it Bryan Cranston? I know Bryan Cranston was in talks.
Bryan Cranston. I'm sure John Hamm got like casted or something. But but anyway, like, he was meant to kind of be in this. And because Apocalypse flopped so much, they kind of went, can you not do that? So then like that was another kind of change to the whole kind of structure of it. They were then going to shoot an after credit sequence for this with Antonio Banderas was going to be in it. He was going to be Sunspot's father. But then later that got kind of written out because basically everything started getting bought by Disney. So they didn't know what was going to happen with X-Men movies. Because Kintberg, the guy who did Phoenix, he was saying that there was also a Gambit film that had basically just about to shoot, and I think Mr. Sinister was meant to be in that as well, or either, or I don't know. It's all kind of confusing. But then basically just Disney buy it. Everything just gets shelved. Disney are not interested in releasing anything. So all the reshoots get shelved because Disney aren't going to put any money into shooting reshoots. Eventually, when Disney start talking to them again about trying to make this film happen and work, they're like, okay, do your reshoots, make it more like you wanted it to be. This sounds like a good idea to do a horror film. At that point, it's like 2019. And these child actors look a hell of a lot different than they did when they shot the film in like 2016. Like, so at that point, Boone was just like, fuck it, I'm out. I've moved on from this project. I'm doing other work now. I think he's doing The Stand TV show.
Oh, cool.
And he's just like, look, I'm out. I shot it. It was years ago. We can't do reshoots unless we shoot the whole film again because the actors don't look the same. It's done, kind of. So at some point, this just kind of got slowly released during this year, really. There was also talks that they stalled for ages because there was a talk about putting this film into the MCU as like the first X-Men MCU film. So there was a lot of talks about what the reshoots were going to be and stuff. And yeah, it would have been a really bad idea.
You want your first X-Men film, I'm sorry, in the Marvel Universe, you want to go out all guns blazing, don't you? You want to be like, here's Cyclops, here's Jean Grey, here's, you know...
But I wouldn't even saying that. Like the film is quite like almost like a bottle show. I'd call it. It's set in like one house.
Oh yeah,
it's
I know what you mean. Yeah. Was it what's they call them? Bottleneck? Is it just?
Yeah, I think bottle show. They think they call them in TV,
yeah.
But
it's just when they've got no money left and they just kind
of they just use the sets they have. Like but so it is like basically just one location, and you could do like an idea of a smaller like superhero film that's actually more of a horror. To kind of release like mutants into the MCU isn't the worst idea. Like it's just a slow release thing. It's not the worst thing ever. And actually, like because of that, the film does lack it lacks a kind of knowing what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it's a horror film. It doesn't know if it's like a coming of age story. And because of that, it kind of wavers a little bit. You kind of just get the sense of it wavering a little. But it's like a superhero film that actually accepts that people are like especially like teenagers, they're like sexual and have attraction to each other, which is something that you never see in these Marvel films. Like,
everyone's
just like, like mannequins basically. They have some character depth to them. There's an on-screen lesbian relationship that's very just played, just kind of out there. It's not hidden or kind of hushed or anything. It's just a nice coming of age lesbian relationship. It works really well. Like, and because of that, I was like, you kind of watching going, I don't hate this. This could have worked. I can see where this can work with it. I like the idea of a superhero film being more of a horror thing rather than just being this kind of cut and paste superhero films of like the Marvel stuff where everything kind of feels the same. That's not a bad idea at all. And like one of the things, and I think you'll really like this, and I think it's always the way you've kind of dealt with superpowers as well, is the superpowers in this aren't like a plot device. Like, and that's always the way the superhero powers are treated in these films. Like, they're kind of written as just a manifestation of the characters themselves. It's like, it doesn't matter what their powers are. It actually matters who they are. The powers are like, it doesn't matter. We'll find a way to solve the big bad with whatever powers you give us. It doesn't matter. They're just a character thing, and it's written like that, and it works like that. And I think that's good. And I miss it. Yeah, I like it in superhero stuff. And so there was a lot of stuff I did like about it. And I'm not ready to say it was awful. I kind of liked it.
I think horror is a good way to use superpowers.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you ever, like, whenever I've treated it in the stuff that we've made, like, my biggest inspiration has always been the X-Files in regards to using superpowers. Because it's freaky and it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
So you should treat it as such, I think. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's always razzle dazzle, and I think if someone can contort their body or I don't know, like do all kind of weird shit, it's freaky and weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And like, I far more enjoyed watching this than I'm a big defender of the X-Men films.
There's some great
Apocalypse,
ones. The first two,
and Phoenix for shit. But
the first one's okay. The second one's really good. But First Class was great, and
First
I really
Class
liked.
Awesome. Yeah, Days of Future Past. I love. I love Logan. I love the second, the Wolverine. I love that film.
Yeah.
The first one, but like,
hey, our friends in that one.
I know, but it doesn't make it better. But like, I would have liked this film, I think, more if they'd allowed it to be more of what Josh Boone wanted to do. And I think I'm gonna miss the X-Men films when they get marveled. Really, Disney marveled, I think they're not going to be the same type of thing, and I think there was something in this that I liked, and it could have worked a bit better than it did, and I'll defend it a little bit. It's definitely the best X-Men film for a long time.
Do you know what I really wish, and I like just the nerd in me, I would have loved to have seen Hugh Jackman in that proper Wolverine suit just once.
Sure.
Because there was like a deleted scene where you see him with the yellow and brown, kind of yellow-brown blacky suit, and just love to have seen him in that just the once. Just once.
And I kind of got really excited when Lockheed, the dragon's name. Yeah, Lockheed. From that I know from the comics, like normally Kitty Pryde. Don't know why Lockheed's with magic in this, but it doesn't matter. I got quite excited when Lockheed came out and Lockheed was in it, and that's kind of what you want as
that's cool.
Yeah. And like that's kind of, as like a comics books fan, those are little things that get you a bit excited. Characters you really like, and actually seeing them on screen gets you feeling something. So
was
I like
Kitty
that
Pryde in the films?
She was paid by Elliot.
Oh, yes.
I can't remember his surname now.
Page,
thank you. Yeah, I love Kitty Pryde. She's my favourite X-Men character, I think. Actually, got a bit shafted by the films because should have been the main character in Days of Future Past, not Wolverine.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But oh well, like.
Yeah, because she's just in the future bits, isn't she? And then there's like a rogue cut where I think Kitty Pryde kind of gets too tired, so they get Rogue out or something like that. something like that.
Oh yeah. I think you're right.
I haven't seen that version.
No. Anyway, Kitty Pryde, great character. Anyway, that's me blabbering on about every film I've watched. Like, have you actually watched anything?
Yeah, I just rewatched some stuff. I got the 4K set of Dawn of the Dead, so I rewatched Dawn of the Dead. I mean, there's nothing much more to say about Dawn of the Dead. It's just the granddaddy of all zombie films, really, isn't it? And it's the one that I think they still, to this day, aspire to be. And the thing has never really matched it, I don't think. You know, Shaun of the Dead's definitely, like, is the only one in my head that kind of is, you know, on par with that, because I think I think Shaun of the Dead's great. But, like, Dawn of the Dead is just fantastic. I love it. Bits.
Yeah, I think...
I wouldn't say the performances are anything to write home about, but like,
okay, yeah.
But the tone of it is just fantastic, and the message behind it, and the music is rad, and the gore effects, and there's a pie fight in it, and I mean, a zombie film with they get to a point with the zombies where it's just like, it's quite easy just cutting them up and shooting them up. Let's just throw pies at them because they're. That's what I kind
of liked about it, that it was like the horror films, but. Like, he was always making a social message.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah.
And I like that.
Well, so the first one was kind of like about race, wasn't it? And then
yeah, totally.
And then this
one's
like
about consumerism,
yeah. And I think what's the third one? It's definitely about the military and kind of.
Oh, it probably is. Yeah. Something about that.
The third one, I think, is one of the weaker ones. I think there's some good moments in it, but you can definitely tell that he probably needed more money to pull off what he wanted to do, I think, with that one.
I think the third one was the first one I saw, I think.
It probably was. It was the
Bob
first
the
one.
Zombie? Is that what they call him? Bob the Zombie? Is that his name?
Bob or Bub or something like that. I can't remember.
That might have been the first one I ever saw.
But there's a bit where some zombie arms, like, they come through the wall, and it's like the wall doesn't look like brick or mortar. It just looks like paper that they're tearing through. And I'm not sure if that's intentional, but it looks pretty dumb. What else did I watch? Because it was Thanksgiving the other day. I rewatched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which,
cool,
in my mind is, I think it's could be a perfect film. I think it's just...
I think that's fair. Yeah,
but I was reading up about it, and there's so many.
It is a Thanksgiving film, not a Christmas film. A lot of people in this country will say it's a Christmas film.
Well, I always treat it as a Christmas film because you know
Thanksgiving
exactly. But it's just fantastic, and like. I was reading up about it, and apparently the original cut was like double the length, and there was like a whole subplot where his wife, Neil Page, played by what's his face, Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, sure.
She believes that he's having an affair, and that's why he got a different plane, and that's why at the end of the film she looks so relieved to see that. John Candy's character is real, because then she believes her husband then.
Oh, I see.
So there's loads of other deleted stuff in there as well. Like Neil finds out that Dell's wife had passed away a lot earlier in the film. Whereas in the film they make it out like he's sitting on the train and he kind of comes to the realization. He's like, oh shit, his wife isn't with us anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes these things make for a better film, though. Like,
I agree.
In the end,
yeah.
Even though I'd kind of like to see these kind of things, and there's loads of different, loads of extra bits.
I can't go off presuming that the people who made it didn't know what they were doing when they cut it together.
Yeah,
like they must have had reasons. So I have to presume that made it a better film than what they did.
People also need to realise as well that editing is just like another draft of writing the screenplay, because like I guarantee you when John Hughes was writing that film, there's probably stuff that he tore out and threw across the room because he didn't want to use. Yeah. And like, you know, editing is no different really. I
think we get hung up about the fact that if something's shot, it's more real as well.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, like, basically, like you were saying, him tearing pages out of a script is as much as like a filmmaker deciding not to put it in the edit. It's as much as just it doesn't exist. You know, it's not needed. And it's kind of funny if it's filmed, we go like, no, but this lost footage, it needs to be put in, and
I still think if it's possible, put it on the DVD or Blu-ray, because it might be interesting to watch. But 9 times out of the 10, like I remember, like when I found out Dumb and Dumber, there was a 3-hour cut, and I was like, I can't wait. I'd love to see this deleted footage. And I remember watching the deleted footage when they came out with like the 10th anniversary disc, and I was like thinking, well, I can see why that was deleted.
Yeah. I was just looking at the Planes, Trains and Automobiles wiki page, and someone has done a map of their journey from, like, is it Wisconsin or something they start in? Or Chicago? I don't know. But, like...
well, they're trying to get back to Chicago, aren't they?
Yeah, and they show... They've got a little map of the actual journey they take, which is kind of fun. Check it out.
But yeah, that's all I've watched. Well, I actually watched the new episodes of the movies that made us, or whatever it's called, on Netflix.
Okay.
So they've released 2 Christmas ones. So one's on The Nightmare Before Christmas, and one's on Elf. But I don't think Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas film. I think it's a Halloween film. I disagree, but anyway, it's about a character wanting to take over Christmas. But I don't think it's about Christmas. The end of the story isn't how good Christmas is. Yeah, but majority of the film is all building up to Christmas, and then he has the realization, I'm the king of Halloween. That's what I should do. But I still think it's a Christmas film, in my opinion. What about Die Hard? Oh, don't get me started on that one. No. Moving on. I don't think it's a Christmas film, but anyway. Yeah, that's me. And what was the other one? Oh, Elf was the other one. But the problem with these documents, they're really so irritating to watch because they have a narrator and they make it very jovial, and they kind of take bits of edits to make it look awkward and stuff like that. And I prefer it when you see a documentary. It's the people who worked on the project telling the story, and then the editor then kind of makes that the narrative. Whereas they have... I don't know if you've ever seen The Toys That Made Us. It's basically the same. I have seen The Toys That Made Us. I never watched the movies one, but I watched the toy one. The toy one's frustrating because they don't actually go... Because you know me, I love toys. And But the reason why I love toys is because it's all about sculpting and the process of making it. Which they never go into that. It's never about the minutiae of toys. Which is probably boring to most people. So if you watch the Ninja Turtle one, then they probably actually talk about the toys for about 2 minutes in the whole episode, and it's more about the turtles. Which for me, like, it all. I know it all, but the cartoon and that I don't really like. I have no nostalgia for the cartoon and stuff like that. It's those toys that I have nostalgia for because of memories I had of getting those toys and stuff like that, and and just the actual sculpts of them, but they never go into that, and maybe that's because it's not interesting to other people. But I did actually find some interesting toys that made this. I think it should talk about that kind of stuff, though. But I did find some interesting stuff out about the Nightmare Before Christmas and Elf, so they are worth a watch, though. Did you find out it wasn't directed by Tim Burton? Oh, God, don't get me started. Do you remember when I got in an argument with Keith from the local pub when we did the pub quiz at Christmas many, many years ago? And he was not having it, and you were like waving your phone at him, going, "Look, it's not directed by Tim Burton." Well, that comes up into it a lot, to be honest. Like how, the seeds came from Tim Burton, but it's a Henry Selick film. It's a Henry Selick film, yeah. Yeah, Tim Burton was on set like once, wasn't he? Like it's not fair to give him so much about it. And Henry Selick is a genius, so that's why most of that stuff comes from it. And it's a Danny Elfman stuff as well. Like those two combinations is what makes those films. Also, the screenwriter of that film was Danny Elfman's partner at the time, and they were living together. So when he was writing the music, she was writing the script. Wonderful. That's probably why it works so well as well. And the one thing I found interesting was this was around the time that he kind of was like ready to kind of disband Oingo Boingo. And so if you listen to the lyrics of the songs, they're back, aren't they, this year? By the way, didn't they? No, it's not Oingo Boingo. It's just Danny Elfman doing stuff. But but it sounds a lot like. Sure. I mean, a lot of his stuff sounds like Oingo Boingo anyway. So do you know what I mean? Makes sense. But yeah, I've watched that video. It's called Happy. It's quite a freaky, weird video. Okay. But like, if you listen to the lyrics, it's very kind of about what he's going through, about wanting to do something different and be someone else and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's
yeah,
quite,
sure.
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That works for the film. Yeah, and they just put it in. That's really cool. You know that theory that all films about like the filmmakers, even how wild they are. Yeah, that really works for that. I love, and like, shout out to Henry Selick. I love Henry Selick, and he's meant to be having a new film coming out for like, I don't know.
It's finished.
About 10 years.
From what I gather, it's finished, but it's just been shelved or something for a long time, and it's a shame.
I'm guessing
because
this year didn't help, but I'm sure it was picked up by Netflix as well.
Yeah, there's something weird that it's been shelved or just kind of forgotten about, or it's almost finished, something like that, and it just can't get the funding or something like that. I'll have to look into it, but I know there's something weird going on with that.
I just had a quick look, and basically they was doing post-production on animation, and then the COVID-19 hit. Okay. So they've had to kind of move. They had to move offices as well to Portland, and obviously Portland this year has been an issue. So
Yes.
they've said here that they've suffered through fires because of the huge forest fires, COVID, and a lot of political and social unrest in the city as well, which has all kind of just made them struggle to kind of get the film finished. But yeah,
sure.
Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key are like the leads of it.
I'm sure there was another film that he was working on or something that just didn't happen. There was a few, like he definitely had a few that was announced and they just kind of didn't happen.
Well, yeah, 2009 was Coraline, so it's been a long time. Yeah, and I mean he's never had a bad film, so I love James and the Giant Peach a lot.
They do talk about that, like. I mean, not James and the Giant Peach, but they talk about that Nightmare Before Christmas was such a flop, and you know it was never talked about afterwards and stuff. But it's like Disney must have saw something in it because Tim Burton produces and Henry Selick directs that film. So like that documentary, it kind of picks and chooses what it kind of.
I was going to say that film made money back at box office. That wasn't a flop. It made like it was budget was like 24 million. It made 91 at the box office. Yeah,
exactly. They kind of like I said, they kind of create their own little narrative that it was like this forgotten gem that 20 years later that.
I don't think that's totally true. As kids who went to go see it as well,
basically it's all the kids that went to go and see it. They got a bit older and could then buy shit. So then
could buy shit. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly that. Yeah. Yeah. We just couldn't buy stuff because we were kids.
I think the singer from AFI just bought every single piece of merchandise.
What was his name again? Danny something. Yeah, Danny Evil or something.
No, he doesn't have Baby Havoc.
Havoc.
We should know. We saw them like 3 times.
We did. We saw them at GAY. Do you remember that?
We did, yeah. It was a good show. And, when he high kicked and fell off the stage.
And I'll never forget that, like, it had to finish early because A-Star were playing afterwards. So you got all these goth kids leaving GAY and then, like, the normal crowd trying to come in to see A-Stars. I just always remember that. I think they're called A-Stars. Did I make that up? I don't know.
All-Star, I don't know. Something
like that. I don't know. Some forgotten boy band anyway.
Anyway, what year are we focusing on today? We've rambled on for about.
We have rambled on for ages. We're talking about 1953, actually. So, 1953. Have you got opinions on any films from that year? I know Peter Pan came out this year to do our Disney roundup.
Yeah, there's quite a few good ones actually. So you've got The Big Heat. You got.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that who's the lead of that actually?
Is it Bo?
No, it's Glenn Ford, isn't it?
Glenn Ford, yeah.
Yeah,
it's directed by Fritz Lang. Yeah,
that's insane. I always forget Fritz Lang made Hollywood films. I think of Fritz Lang as just like the silent German filmmaker, and I just forget that he made like talkies in like Hollywood.
Yeah, got Shane as well, like a that's kind of like referenced on a lot of like modern Western films and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
There's something that came out fairly recently that.
It's Alan Ladd, isn't it? Like, who's the lead of Shane? And I know 2 things about Alan Ladd. Do you want to know 2 facts about Alan Ladd?
Go on.
One, I'm pretty sure he was gay. I think that was true.
Okay.
That might not be a fact, actually. But 2 is that he was the basis of the Golden Age Green Lantern, whose name's gone out of my head, but it's Alan something.
Okay.
And so when you see like the Golden Age Green Lantern, his blonde hair.
Alan Scott, you mean?
Alan Scott, yeah, thank you.
You should know that.
I know, it's gone out of my head. Like his kind of shock of big blonde hair and stuff like that, and his build, he's absolutely based on Alan Ladd, and that's why he's called Alan Scott as well. And then a few years ago, when they rebooted Alan Scott, when they rebooted the Golden Age, we don't talk about it because no one cared about it, but they rebooted it, and he became like the first gay hero or something.
Do you think that's why they? Do you think that's why they did it, or?
I think that's the connection. That's why I mentioned it. I think there is a connection with that. Like,
I think he's going to be part of the Green Lantern show that they're doing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, which has got what's the bald-headed one? What's his name?
Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner, and a few others. But they're obviously saving Jon Stewart and
Kyle.
Hal?
Yeah.
Hal definitely. I don't know if they'll ever do Kyle. Like Kyle is like he's our generation's. So you're gonna have to wait a few more years, I think, until someone who is a fan of Kyle will be like, no, Kyle's got to be part of this somewhere.
Well, the thing is, I'm a massive fan of Alan Scott for that reason, because when I started reading Green Lantern, it was like Alan Scott was the old hero who was like a mentor to like Kyle Rayner, and people looked at him as like this kind of, you know, crime fighter from like the 40s, like a mythic figure kind of thing, because Batman and Superman in universe at that point didn't exist in the 40s. So like Alan Scott was like the big hero of like that war period, because they'd redone all the universe. So like Alan Scott, I've got a lot of love for Alan Scott. I really have. I really like him as a character.
I was just thinking, Shane, the film that's based on Shane is Logan.
Oh, right, okay. It's a secret Western, Logan is. I've heard that. I've never seen Shane. I should watch it actually then. I know Roman Holiday came out this year, which I have seen.
I was just looking at that, yeah.
Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn. And that's a good film. It is really good. I really enjoyed it. It's really quite funny, actually.
Yeah, I've not actually seen that one. There's
a few others, I think. Travel log films.
Wasn't War of the Worlds out that year as well?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, which I think we've all seen. But yeah, and I think. Do
you know they cut the budget on that because of the obviously they're meant to be triffids, aren't they? And they walk on
tripods.
3 legs. You mean? Triffids. What the fuck am I talking about? Tripods that walk on 3 legs. So to get away with that, they just made them fly because it would cost too much money to have them like walking and stuff.
I don't think I ever noticed that there weren't tripods in it. I don't think that ever occurred.
I think you see the aliens later on. I don't know if they're stop motion or something. I don't know if I've got like a Mandela effect of seeing them in that film. But
right? Yeah.
There's that many versions or that many horror like alien films around this time that they kind of all
merged together a little bit. I agree. I think the only other film I know came out that year, but I haven't seen it. But it was almost going to be like the film we watched actually this week was the Toko Story.
Okay.
Like that. It's about like it's like one of the great Japanese films, like a romance. And so I might try and check that out actually if I got some spare time.
I mean, I guess just some other ones to note. I guess Calamity Jane.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
House of Wax.
Oh God, yeah. Do you remember the remake of that with Paris Hilton? Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Wild One.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And The Cruel Sea. Those are ones that kind of stick out to me.
Cruel Sea. Well, actually, quite a big year then compared to like as you were saying last year. Last year, you know what I mean. We're struggling to find stuff. But we're doing none of them. Instead, we're covering the film The Hitch-Hiker.
I told you my name. What's yours?
Mine's Gilbert Bowen. He's Roy Collins.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a draftsman. He runs a garage.
That makes you smarter. Or does it?
You ought to be all over that windshield. You got lucky. It hit an empty chamber. I had to use it a while back. Now, don't make any more fast moves. I told you the last guy made that mistake.
So, The Hitchhiker, directed in 1953, is a film noir by Ida Lupino. Ida? I think it's Ida, isn't it? Ida Lupino. It's a very simple story. Two fishing buddies pick up a hitchhiker, and the hitchhiker's not a nice guy. And he forces them to kind of do what he says. But it's worth talking, really. It'll give some background and context before we go into the plot, really, about Ida Lupino more than anyone else. But do you know anything about her or anything like that?
I know she's a Brit.
She is a Brit. Yeah, she is, absolutely.
And I know she she only got into directing because a film that she was working on was kind of falling apart or something, and so she kind of stepped in to kind of take on the role. Yes. And this film, I think, is her first non-female social kind of commentary.
It's definitely the first noir ever made by a woman.
I read that. Yeah.
But yes, 1949 it was. There was a film called Not Wanted, which was a small independent film about about a girl having a child out of wedlock. The director, who was Elmar Clifton, I believe his name was, he suffered a minor heart attack shortly after filming had actually begun. So on set, she jumped in to direct it, and she ghost directed it. Basically, it never got released under her name or anything like that. But because she managed to kind of take that step at that point, she started being able to kind of craft out getting more director jobs and things, which is kind of crazy, really. But as you were saying, she was at this point she was the only woman working in directing in Hollywood. There had been one other director of note since the 20s. Before the 20s, there was loads of women working in cinema, but after the 20s, there only been one director actually working, who was Dorothy Arzner, and she was directing between the 20s and the 40s. Then she was directing a film called First Comes Courage in 1943, which was about it's about the Norwegian War in World War II, but I think it's meant to be quite a feminist take on it or something. But I just thought it's interesting background that she was directing this film in 1943. She gets ill on that set and she can't finish it, and because she got ill on that set, she never got to do another film, and that was the last time Dorothy Arzner ever directed. And so between 1943 and then this film 1953, not one woman directed a film in Hollywood. Well, not 1940, because up until Ida Lupino started directing films in about 1950, no other women were working, and they were just seen as not reliable enough on set. They weren't able to kind of control sets, or not able to kind of direct their own pictures, and they didn't have the desire to and stuff. It's kind of mental, really.
Well, what's cool about her is she formed her own studio, though, didn't she?
Yeah, she absolutely did. Yeah,
she named it Emerald Productions, which. Because her parents were both stage and screen actors, weren't they, in the early days?
Yeah.
So I think she named it after her mom's stage name.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
I know that they shot this with her husband at the time. Their production company were called The Filmmakers, I think, with just one M. I think that's what this film was released under.
So maybe she must have had several.
She probably did have several. Yeah, I'm sure she did. She was an actress before she started directing. She was quite a prolific actress, really. She'd done a number of projects since the 30s. I think the story goes is that her first ever role, her mom took her to an audition, not to audition her, but her mom was auditioning and took her along, and she got the role instead of her mom. I don't understand that story, because I don't understand how that's possible. But that's the tale of how she got her first role in acting. And she'd done stuff she worked on Adventures of Sherlock Holmes with Basil Rathbone and stuff like that. And she started just having this kind of series of just regular acting jobs. She was hired by Warner Brothers. She was on contract to Warner Brothers. But what started kind of happening with Warner Brothers is they hated her. Basically, she'd started getting a reputation of being kind of objectable and a bit like spirited and a bit having an opinion. So she started kind of objecting to certain castings. She started refusing roles. She started saying that was below me, as you know, that's beneath my dignity. She started making script revisions that she said was unacceptable and stuff. And then basically at the end of Warner Bros., she spent most of her time in contract just suspended. They just basically suspended her. After in 1942, she rejected a role with Ronald Reagan in The King's Row, and she just rejected that film. And they just, instead of like doing anything, they just suspended her until her contract ran out. And
I wonder
then, like,
if she refused to do the Reagan one because of like her political stance and stuff like that. I don't know, because obviously he's quite outspoken and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know if this was before he was in charge of the Actors Guild, but he definitely was seen as like a political figure, like a spokesperson. Yeah, but she just had a bit of she just knew what she wanted. You know, she knew how she wanted to be portrayed. She knew what roles she liked. She knew what roles were good for her. She wasn't someone who just took every role that was there, you know, and that's not what you did in the studio system in that time, and it just, you know, it caused her to have a bit of a reputation. And eventually she gets picked up by 20th Century Fox, and that's, you know, as we say, she took over directing of that film, and like then she started being able to get enough clout to do her own films then. Her first film was called Never Fear, which was slightly autobiographical. It's about like a woman with polio, and I think she had polio as a kid. Then she did a film called Outrage. That was 1950. There's a good reason we didn't do that film on the podcast, because it's the first Hollywood film about rape.
Oh.
I know. So like you can see that straight away she's doing issue films, they called them, like, you know, like about social issues and stuff. And so yeah, the first one about polio, this one about rape. And then she did, just after that, she did Hard, Fast and Beautiful in 1951, which was about a domineering mother pushing her daughter to be a tennis superstar and stuff. I can never believe how fast they just got these films out in that time. But then like they weren't successful enough that she was able to then do this. And in the same year she made this film, she also made The Bigamist, which is more of a sentimental romantic film as well. It's the Hitchhiker. It was considered quite brutal, really, as a film for the day. Quite a brutal kind of a depiction of like a film noir and things. Something that I don't think women should direct. You know, people they would say kind of thing.
Well, it's based on a true story, isn't it? And
yeah. So
apparently the guy murdered
William Cook.
He murdered 5 people.
6.
Is it 6? But I know in the film they had to tone it down for censors to be 3 people, even though you don't see them.
No,
they just say it. So like, why you have to censor the name, like the amount of deaths? Like, why is 5 worse than 3? Like, if you're just saying it, I don't understand why you'd have to censor just saying it. It's bizarre.
It's crazy. Those kind of rules about what made a film decent and stuff like that, I think it's really hard to get into the mindset of what they ever thought about it. But she did her own research about the William Cook case. She got quite obsessed with it. She was talking to kind of like
the 2 of the guys that were kidnapped, well, not kidnapped, but like
she interviewed them to get their story to put it into the film and things. And because this was like, you know, a film torn from the headlines kind of thing, and 2, a woman directing it, got quite a lot of kind of, quite a lot of attention at the time, and quite a lot, and just seen as a bit of a curiosity, I guess. Like you know, a woman directing a film like this that doesn't have a female character in it at all. It's like the entire cast.
Yeah. Well, it's I was going to say, like, it's very soon after the events, wasn't it, as well? Like, I think the guy was arrested or caught in 52, and that's when they shot the film. And I think he only got executed, like, a few months before the film even was released, I think.
Which is kind of crazy, really, isn't it? Like,
but this kind of... It's very similar how the first film that we talked... Well, not the film we talked about in the last miniseries.
Wonder.
With, not Wonder... Mikey and Nikki.
Okay. Yeah.
And how that was a very kind of male-centric film.
Yeah.
And directed by a female director. And this is a very male-centric film.
Yeah.
Directed by a female director.
And it's definitely a film as well that's using this kind of story about like a crime aggression, but using it to kind of look at the relationship between the men and how men react and stuff. That's clearly what she was interested in this and why she kind of wanted to film it. Really, she was known to be quite a tough director on set. Like she would be kind of take no shit from the actors. Like if they were kind of moaning or want to do more takes, she was very much like, we have no budget, we have 2 days to film this, like just shut up and do your job kind of thing. Like, and one thing that I thought she says about directing, which I thought was really eye-opening, I guess, is the fact that she would pretend to know less around the men on set. So like if she was trying to get like the cameraman to do something, she would pretend that she doesn't really know what she was asking for, and then they would kind of like educate her or kind of feel more like happier to talk to her about stuff, to get the stuff in. Like, and she said that if she went up there as like telling them exactly what to do, knowing exactly what she wanted, they would react really badly and she wouldn't get the stuff from them.
Yeah,
so
almost
she had to be
in
kind
like
of meek on set, like
women know their place, and we're
yeah.
happy to talk down to them, but if they talk up to us, then we're not taking that kind of.
Not taking that.
Yeah.
She was clearly really smart. She understood people, she understood how to work, and she understood how to get the best of what she wanted. I thought that was really eye-opening is probably the wrong word, but I know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think like really after this film, she only did 2 more films. To say The Bigamist came out this year, which is a bit of it's a tale about adultery. And then The Trouble with Angels came out in 1966, which was a huge break after 1953, which was a bit of a coming-of-age drama. She never made another film after that. She did work in TV, though.
I was going to say, she went more into TV, didn't she?
Mm.
And I know she's one of the only people that directed and starred in The Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I was going to say that, because like, I didn't know that until after I'd watched this, and I kept on thinking of The Twilight Zone when I was watching this. There were, like, when you watch those early black and white Twilight Zones, the way this is shot and the kind of starkness of it, and the way it's always like, just the starkness and barrenness, almost like Twilight Zone's always a bit noirish, really, in its sci-fi portrayal. I got all that sense from this, actually, and I don't know, maybe I just thought of The Twilight Zone, and it was weird that then I saw that she worked on The Twilight Zone. I thought that was at least a coincidence anyway.
So yeah, her Twilight episode is called The Masks, and it's about a dying man who wears a grotesque mask that reflects people's true personalities, apparently.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. I've been trying to work through the old Twilight Zones whenever I got a minute, just put them on, because they're only like 20 minutes long. There are like 4 billion of them, though, so I'm not very shortly into them, but they're fun. They're better than I remember them. Some of them are, but the good ones are awesome. Like,
I haven't seen any of the new ones by
Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
No, I haven't watched them either. I kept meaning to, but I don't know.
There's been 2 seasons, apparently.
Has there? Oh,
yeah.
God.
But yeah,
I love anthology stuff, but I just never sit down to watch it. I just love the idea of it more than anything else. It's interesting as a film noir, I thought, because like unlike most film noirs that are kind of set in, cramped alleyways and offices and stuff like that, this is a film noir set in the massive open desert.
But it's also set in the confines of a car most of the time
car
as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I do love that car though. Those old 50s.
It's incredible.
Black beasts of a car. I love them.
They look like they take so much effort to get moving. There's so heavy things through the landscape and stuff. But like I thought the way that they use light in the desert, or use like the terrain in the desert, but both blowing it out, but also kind of like just using the shadows of like no artificial lights and stuff in the desert, was just kind of gave it that kind of sense of claustrophobia as well. Even when you're dealing with these massive open landscapes, like you're not any more protected because you're in the countryside, like even though it's all open, you're still, this guy's got a gun on you kind of thing. Well, and I think I've got a sense of that still. I
still find it nuts that they film at night as well, and it's like pitch black. Like even today, it's still a pain in the arse to film at night. Like even when they did Castaway, they shot in the daytime. And and like digitally corrected the skies and stuff like that. Yeah, and which leads some weird shots in Castaway. Yeah, but anyway, but like this, it's like when it's night, it's like pitch black, isn't it? But I quite like that though, and you just kind of you just see his face kind of lit up with his gammy eye, kind of like, is he looking at you? Is he not?
I liked the bit where they escape after one of their weird camping trips and they're running across the road. And it's just like, it looks like the darkness in the distance.
Oh, is this when he chases them on the with
Yeah,
the car?
yeah. So it looks like they're aiming for that darkness, which is their salvage almost.
Yeah. And the light is
And then-
the light is what's actually going to get them.
What's going to get you? Yeah. And he comes like driving through in the car then with, as you say, like with his that stare of his, like.
It's worth pointing out that this film is available on YouTube because it's
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it's what's the word? My mind's gone dead. It's
Public domain.
Public domain, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the Library of Congress's YouTube channel, which I just found out the Library of Congress have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But it's on there for free. And
it's a bit of a pain though because you get quite a few ads.
Oh, I didn't get any ads.
Have you got an ad blocker though?
Yeah, maybe that was it.
I haven't got one.
Maybe that was it. Shall we bash through there's not much plot to get through. It's not that plot heavy. Should we bash through it a bit though?
Yeah, sure.
So like it kind of opens with our killer, who's played by William Talman.
Well, you don't see him. You just see the bottom of the car, don't you? And like you see like certain.
You just see his feet mainly. Like.
Yeah, but you see like a purse fall out of the car, and you kind of assume that he's obviously killed someone or something's happened in this car.
I like that. Yeah, you get the cigarettes falling out the lady's clutch, and you get like spinning papers at this point, like telling you that people are getting murdered and things.
I wonder when that started, that trend of spinning papers, because I do like that.
I do like it a lot. I really do like it as like a silly like thing. I like it when they do it in The Simpsons, like as a takeoff and stuff. And you get basically a bit of a montage of him killing people, but it's all from his feet point of view, isn't it? And his shoes are mucky and his pants are a bit like torn and stuff like that. And it's telling you about the character without showing you anything.
They say he's 28 later on. There's no way he's 28.
Do they say he's 28 later on? That can't be true.
I'm pretty
that
sure
cannot
they
be
say
true.
28. I was like, no. No.
You know, the budget for this was only 100k as well, which I can't imagine was a lot then in terms of anything. Like,
I mean, it's more than it is net. Like 100k then is quite a lot net.
yeah, it is. But
I can kind of understand it. Like as we said, like the only locations really are they're in the rocky, deserty kind of terrain.
Yeah.
Or in the car, and they're on that dock at the end. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the dock's really cool, and there's a couple of shops and a bar and stuff. There's a couple of interiors.
I can kind of understand how, like, you know, there's only 3 main cast members.
Yeah.
There is an FBI agent later on who I swear is Harrison Ford. He looks in some shots. He looks just like Harrison Ford.
I got a note about him because I loved the comparison of this like squared chinned FBI agent compared to like the Mexican police chief. Who I liked the Mexican police chief a lot more.
He was a much better actor for sure.
He really was.
Like we'll get into it anyway. We'll get to that.
Sure. But yeah, so you introduced your 2 male leads, who I think their names Gil and Roy.
Yeah, Gil and Roy.
I think it's Roy Collins, is it?
Yeah, so that's
Collins, right? Yeah.
Edmond O'Brien plays him.
Yeah.
And then Frank Lovejoy plays Gilbert Bowen. And then Emmett Myers, who is the hitchhiker, he's played by William Talman.
Yeah. And they're going off fishing.
Oh, there is a girl in this film. There is one girl.
What, the girl at the shop?
Yeah, that's the only female in the film. Anyway.
There is a silent woman driving a car later.
Oh, yes, with her husband.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they're off to a fishing trip together to Mexico, except no one knows they've gone to Mexico. It's very Brokeback.
Why they? Yeah, it's like, why would you lie where you're going?
I don't know. And you get a bit of a sense of their characters. They'd both served in the war, so you get a bit of this idea about them. They're both married, but have left their wives at home. One of them's got kids. They get to this bit is really weird. They get to Mexico and they turn down a fan dance because one of them's asleep. But then, like, as he's driving off, he's pretending to be asleep. Yeah. Like, he opens the side of his eye and then shuts it before the other sees him.
I know, yeah, it's bizarre.
I was like, what is this suggesting? Again, this was me like, is this a bit homoerotic? Is this actually what is going on here?
Maybe that's something she wanted to kind of...
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I mean, and it is... there is something about it. Like here, it's Collins who's driving and Gil's the one's asleep. and like Collins is kind of like, we can go back home if you don't want to be away from your family. It's fine. Like if you didn't want to be here, and then he's asleep and he's like, no, we can't go for a fan dance. He's asleep. I just need to take him back home, kind of thing. So you get this kind of fact that Collins is kind of like, he's looking after for Gil. He's like nurturing him a little bit. He's in charge, kind of thing. And you do get the switch later in the film that it's Collins who injures himself and it's Gil who's then kind of taking charge.
Yeah, it's the role reversal, yeah.
Do get like a little bit of role reverse with that, and that is kind of what these very brief moments at the beginning of the film are setting up, because the film's only 70 minutes long, so it doesn't have much time to do much, but it does.
I do feel bad though for Roy though, because is it, hang on, which one's which? I'm trying to think. Who, because the mechanic is the mechanic Roy, the one who's mostly driving.
Yes,
yeah.
Collins, Roy, yeah.
Yeah, so he's constantly getting punched by his other friend, like, because he's like he's the more erratic one, isn't he? That's kind of like, I want to get him, I'm going to do this, and he can't.
Right. Yeah.
The other one's a bit more cooler, a bit more calmer.
Yeah, a bit more. I think, is it later on? Collins explodes at the hitchhiker. He yells about his clothes stinking as well.
Yeah. But yeah, so so it's worth noting that Roy is a mechanic. Roy Collins, and Gilbert is he's a draftsman. Is that right?
Oh, you're right. I completely forgot that. Yeah, because he says like, "Oh, you're the intelligent one" or something, doesn't he? But yeah, instantly we're just into the threat. They pick up the hitchhiker instantly. Like, they drive out of like that Mexican city, and he's just there, and they get him in. They're like, "We're off to San Felipe." And
here's a cigarette.
Here's a cigarette. Yeah. And when he turns round to offer him a cigarette, this gun just comes out the darkness in his face. Like, it's just instantly we're into this. Like, there's no more setup. And I loved this lighting in the car. I loved how, like, at the back it was just pitch black. Mm-hmm. And all you can see is stuff that comes out the darkness, like the gun, and then later when he leans forward and stuff. I just thought it looked really, really dramatic lighting, I thought.
So is the scene that precedes this when they're in the desert and they've stopped for the first time, and they're like, they're doing some he's like basically getting Collins to hold bottles, and they're shooting the bottles, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a lot of just different scenes before that. He gets them to pull over, and he gets them to take blankets and the groceries out of the car.
Yeah,
there's a bit where like someone reaches for a rifle, and there's like no, and they get him to drive straight for a checkpoint. He's getting very mad anytime Gil says anything in Spanish. Like, he says gracias, and the guy's like, he's like, shut up, stop speaking that Mexican kind of thing. Like, yeah, that's all that's kind of building up, and you start learning that he wants to get a ferry back to California across the bay, and that's the goal, to get to the ferry port. And yeah, as you say, they pull over. They're shooting kind of. They're getting Collins to hold cans, and they're shooting cans out of his hands and stuff like that.
I just love like the first person shot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the poster is, almost.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It was like really video gamey. Even the way like the gun was waving looked really video gamey to me. But
what I liked about it was it's like it's all in focus, so I don't know what lens they used to do that. Like, I know there's like shots in like Jaws. It
looks like it's composite, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, there's a term for it. Let me have a look. Wait there. So basically, the split diopter is it's half convex glass that attaches in front of the cameraman's lens to make half the lens nearsighted. Then the lens can focus on a plane in the background and the diopter on the foreground, and the split diopter does not create a real depth of focus, only the illusion of it. So I'm guessing that's how they did that effect.
Yeah, probably is.
So it's basically like, when you see like a person who's like carving or whatever, and they've kind of got that little flip of the little another like lens that kind of goes on top of their glasses, but it's not as big as the.
Yes,
I guess it's like a similar thing to that, basically.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, so it's given those two optics with it. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe they did do it like that. It was. I love the shot though. I'm glad you recognised it as well.
But I think that's what makes it look like a composite. So if you watch there's one in Jaws. It's like a famous one where Brody, I think, is like looking out of the water. Not the obviously there's the famous like
When the shark comes up, but not that one.
The Hitchcocky zoom. But no, there's a famous one in Jaws, and there's stuff in other films as well. But they kind of, because it gives a slight blur around the edge of one of the items, it kind of makes it look a bit composited.
Yeah, that's what the gun looked like as well.
Yeah.
And I liked all this though when they're shooting and stuff like that. It's all location shot, like, and it's a mix between handheld when they're close in, and it's all like all the wides are shot with, I guess, in like tripod or gimbal or something like that. Like, I like that kind of. I liked all that it felt all like kind of the tension rising when you're kind of in it. I like William Talman. I thought he was quite good. He got like a good air of menace to him. I really thought of like Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because he's got that, especially he's got that paralyzed eye or something, which they make a point,
like a
plot
lazy eye,
point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently, he says that not after long after the film's release, he was driving in Los Angeles with his top down, and a motorist spotted him, and he recognised him as the villain from the Hitchhiker, and they got out the car and slapped him in the face, and he said like. He said, I never won an Academy Award, but I guess that was about as close I ever
did a
will
good
come
job
to one. Right, yeah. And he said, like, the ability to have an effect on anyone is just really cool, more valuable than Oscar, I think is what he said. Like,
it's a very kind of macho pissing scene, though, I think, isn't it? And like the other guy kind of, and he kind of gives as good as he gets because obviously he's quite a good shot. But didn't you think his shotgun was tiny? It's so small.
It's a rifle, not a shotgun, isn't it? But it's still
whatever
looks like
it is.
A little
It's
toy
tiny.
gun.
It looks like a little spud gun.
It does. It looks really weird. I thought that was the same thing, like a toy gun. I did notice there's a bit sometimes on the road where the fake background and the car was going insane. Like it was like they're on rough waters, and then when it cuts like a close up, it's just like flat in the background. and like I know it's just it's just the habit of the films when they were made then, but it did find it a little bit distracting. It kind of, you do start getting stories coming in about the radio announcements now and police movements. Police are on a manhunt for him. They're looking for the car. He's turning the radio on all the time to kind of hear what the police are doing. And you start.
But they also know that they're missing as well. So obviously, they know that.
But they don't know.
But they're looking in the wrong place. But they're looking in the wrong place because the husbands have told the wives they're going to. I forget, like
the Chocolate Mountains. Which
yeah,
I've never heard of. I did look it up. They are in Arizona. Yeah.
But obviously they're not there.
They're not there. Yeah. So it takes the police a while to actually kind of pin it that they're together, and that's what starts happening now. You first get the really weird camping scene when they're like camping next to a tiny stream with their like these tiny blankets pulled up to their heads.
They look all comfortable in the front. It's like this is as much as we can light up in this shot, so you've all got to be. Yeah.
It's like we've got this little circle of light, and you have to be in it. But yeah, they go to a shopping trip, which is really weird.
Yeah,
he keeps his gun in his pocket all the time, and there's a thing like Collins is like telling him to stack loads of cans up in a box, like he had a plan. I'm totally not sure what his plan was, but he stops his plan when he notices the girl being next to the hitchhiker. I didn't really understand what was going on, if I'm honest. You get a weird reaction where like one of the guys says, "Oh, I've been to where your license plate's from, and that's really nice," and the hitchhiker's like really angry at him for it. He just really hates Mexicans as well. It's a really character thing about this hitchhiker who really doesn't like Mexicans. One thing I didn't understand, like normally like crime films, you do your crimes in America and the race is to escape back to Mexico. This was kind of weird that he did his crimes in America, was in Mexico, but wanted to get back to America.
Yeah.
But not across the border. He was going to take the ferry. I didn't really get it. I didn't really understand. I guess it was true if it's based. I don't know, but like, I still thought it was weird.
I kind of like you don't know much about him. It kind of makes him even much more kind of like I think the more you know about a character like that, the more you have the chance of sympathising with them, which I guess you don't really want to do. You just kind of. They're just evil incarnate, aren't they? And they're just kind of...
Yeah. Do you think, like, the Rutger Hauer one took influence from this? Because it's a similar sort of thing that you don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, apparently it's a film that's definitely kind of over the years has kind of got more and more acclaim over the years.
Yeah. You kind of get now Gil and Collins are kind of starting to try and sabotage the car and make the journey more difficult.
Yeah, so have the horn going off and so they can stop it, so they can pull the radio so he can't hear like what's going on.
Yeah, so he doesn't know where the police are doing. The tire pops and it forces interactions with witnesses. The hitchhiker hates them talking Spanish to anyone.
Well, you can understand why, because he could be saying anything.
It's just, it made me laugh because the guy pulls up and says like, "Hey, have you guys in trouble?" And they don't respond to him, and the Mexican guy's just like, "Well, fuck you."
Yeah.
Like,
see you later.
He does a proper like fucking Americans like, and Josh drives off, and then at the same time you're seeing the police talk to the grocery store people. They talk to the guy who pulled up in the car. So you get this general kind of chasing kind of happening throughout the film. They pull up. It's starting to get more desperate now, and he's getting a lot more paranoid. So they fill up gas illegally at night at a petrol station.
He kills a dog. What a twat.
Yeah, I know. Shoot the dog
off camera, but still
off camera. Yeah, but like when it cuts to the gas station attendant, he's saying in Spanish like all he's concerned about is his dog. He's just like, they shot my dog, Perro.
Did you have subtitles? Did you have subtitles?
No. I just picked up the word Perro. Like,
yeah, because I was going to say you kind of get what's being said, but like
yeah. It's very. I don't know. Like I know no Spanish at all, but the Spanish they use, I can tell what they're talking about. Like,
yeah, but I think because of the plot of the film, you kind of know what they're kind of going on about anyway.
And it's mainly there's some interviewing like witnesses, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, there was 2 of them, or like, and or 3 of them, and oh yeah, that guy on the news and stuff like that." Like, but at the gas station, they leave an engraved ring as well, so the police know
Gil's leaving
that
like
with
a little.
them.
He's like leaving like a little trail or like little clues.
Yeah, to kind of say that, you know, we're with him as well, and that's when the police worked out they're together. So this is the point where you get.
I don't know about that. I'm sure it was a bit before that they kind of say that they're together. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
It might have been. I just remember the scene with the Mexican police chief, and then the square-jawed cop is like, now, and they're like, "Well, we make sure they're together, so we're going to release fake news on the radio that says they're not together, and turn them off the scent and stuff like that." And he's like, "I hope I've got your agreements to this." And the Mexican cop's just like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, I get it. I'm with you. Well ahead of you."
But yeah, as we said, he's a pretty bad actor, the FBI agent cop guy.
He's not good.
And I swear there's some really bad dubbing from him. Like, he sounds like he's in a different room to the Mexican chief.
There's some ADR on the Hitch-Hiker as well that sounds like they recorded it just really weirdly.
There's a line later on where he goes, "You're lying," and it's like it's really badly dubbed, and it's like it doesn't sound like the same inflection of what he's been saying in the previous and what follows. It's like almost like Workshed in Evil Dead. Workshed.
Sure. There is a bit right on the beginning when he says something in the car. It almost like cuts between him says something, then lines get dropped in, and then he says something else, and it's really obvious ADR dropped in. Kind of, yeah. So I don't know. Like they're kind of. This is the bit where they're sleeping. That we talked about. The lighting is kind of, you know, I just love the lighting of the darkness. They're sneaking away. He wakes up because he has this thing where you can't tell if he's sleeping because one eye's always open. They're sneaking away, but as they do, he drives at them, and it causes Collins to kind of trip on a.
He gets his foot caught in like an iron kind of like
ring thing,
like you'd attach a chain or something.
Chain to, yeah,
because it's an old airport airstrip, isn't it, or something like that? So it's like a long strip of road, sure. Isn't it? So
yeah, he twists his ankle, and at that point, like he's kind of had enough of them, so he's threatening to kind of drop him in a well or kill him in a well or something. And as he's about to do that, he hears the fake police report over the radio saying that, like, change of plans. He's not actually with the 2 missing men. He's on his own, and he's also not going to this place. Like, and he's like, see, I fooled them. Like, I don't need to kill you now or something. You can stay with me for a bit longer. But he's either shot the car or it just burst the kind of gas pipe, didn't it? because the car's leaking gas. So instead of driving anywhere, they now have to walk. And this is the point where like you start really getting just like kind of Gil looking after Collins more and more, kind of exploring that sensitivity of their relationship a little more.
Yeah, because the Collins is like kind of collapsing on the floor, like in anger, or like, you know, and like, yeah, Gil goes up to him to kind of see how
Gil makes it.
But he's also saying, "I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him."
Yeah.
He's like, "Just wait."
Yeah, because Gil's very much like, look, like, you know, we need to do this together. We're friends. We like not one another. We need to work together. We need each other. We can't survive it. Like if you're not here, and like there's very much like kind of. It's about them too at this point. They're both in it. They both need each other, really.
It's an early bromance. It's like
it is a massive romance. This film. It's like, and you get a lot of stuff here with them. You know, it's much more difficult terrain. They blow out the lens at some point because it's hot deserts. You know, they're crossing these rivers. I think he's making them get up in the night to walk. There's more police patrols. They're hiding more in the desert. There's helicopters and stuff like that. And even he does like and Nicky and Mikey and Nicky is he changes clothes as well.
Yeah.
With Gil, so you know Gil gets shot and not him. But I like that. Go on.
Do you get he kind of likes being with them though, so he's not on his own? Do you kind of get that vibe a little bit? Because he could have killed them at any time or just taken their car.
He definitely likes toying with them.
Yeah,
it's the whole film is the fact that he's enjoying.
Yeah, he's enjoying their company for his own kind of benefit, his own gain. I'm not saying like he enjoys just hanging out with them. Like
no, he's not.
Yeah,
though he does make sure they take the fishing gear, so maybe he did have some plans.
Maybe,
but I don't know. Yeah, he's definitely. It makes no real sense that he hasn't killed them. It's just that he's enjoying the sadistic game of kind of keeping these two men
cat
at
and mouse
gunpoint.
Kind of, yeah.
He berates them all the time. He berates their manhood all the time. You know, like, and this like. When they start snapping at him, saying like "You're nothing without that gun," you know, you're not anything. You're weak. You know, he's telling them they're weak all the time. But he's like, you know, you're weak. We're strong. You're the one with the gun. If you didn't have that gun, you'd be knocked on your ass, kind of thing. It's definitely that kind of stuff, and he's enjoying having that power over them. So they get to the bar. They get to a bar now. They order 3 beers, and they find out in Spanish that the ferry's not running. So like they find a guy to speak English. They find a sleeping man who can speak English.
Yeah.
who explains to the hitchhiker that there's no ferry for a year or something.
Yeah, 2 months, I think. I'm so tired.
It's so weird. And he says like, but you know, they kind of bribe him that his mate's got a boat, so he gives him loads of money, and he says that there'll be more for your mate. So if you get the boat, they'll take you across the bay. So they decide to spend the day on the beach together, and this is the bit when he's like, "You're nothing without your gun, and your clothes stink." And I
like the bit though with the Mexican guy. It's like he walks past the wanted sign. He does the Patrick Stewart like triple take.
He even says "ay caramba."
He does, yeah.
I just loved it. Oh, ay caramba. And then he, with quite some difficulty, the guy he's with doesn't want to listen to him. With quite some difficulty, he calls the cops.
Yeah,
he's like, "I need to call the cops," and the guy's like, "What?" And he goes, "I need to call the cops," and the guy's like, "Okay." And then he's on the phone. He's like, "Cops," and now he goes, "No, cops!" Like, and it's like, "Why was it so difficult for this man to phone the police?" Then they basically get to the pier at the end. I love the pier stuff here.
No, it was shot really well, and it looked. This was like the most noir kind of looking part of the film. Well, the whole film does, but like this scene definitely.
Like classically, like you got all the light reflecting off the water and like kind of constantly moving because of that, and you get the really stark shadows.
And you have a gun that's constantly poking out of a corner.
Yeah. You never see the shooters, do you? Like the police shooting at them. And I kind of liked, because they changed clothes, the only person wearing light clothes at this point was the hitchhiker. So both Gil and Collins were wearing dark clothes, but the guy, he was wearing like this kind of like light golfing suit that really kind of like lit him up in the frame as well, which I just thought it made a really good image, but also kind of like made him more of a target for the police as well. And they start shooting at I think they start shooting at Collins, and Collins hides and starts like yelling, "It's not me! I'm not Emmett." So then Gil and the hitchhiker get into a bit of a fisticuffs on the pier, and a bit of fight over the gun. And then the police kind of interfere, and they kind of...
He does a cool, like, chop socky move on him. Like, on his hand, like...
against the wrist, and he gives him a proper little, like, 1950s clock in the chin.
Oh, we forgot about earlier on, the hitchhiker gives Collins, like, a proper, like... what do you call it with the handle of the gun? Like a proper...
Oh, to the back of his head, he knocks him out. Yeah, pistol whip, yeah. He knocks him out in the wheel, doesn't he? Like... I love this bit though. This is properly like, you know, the theme of the film. But like after he gets in handcuffs and he doesn't have his gun, he's just pathetic.
Oh yeah, it's like all of his power was in that gun.
Yeah, it's like all his power just went away. He's crap. He doesn't look scary. He just looks pathetic and a bit cryy.
I like how the police let Gil have a few like little punches. It's like, go on then.
I think it's Collins. Collins started going at him, and the police are just like, "Yeah, it's fine. Yep. Come on, let's go on. Hit him again, a bit more." And then, like, as they take you away, the police just come up to like Collins and Gill and just go, "Gracias," and then walk away. It's just that really cracked me up. Like, that's it. Yeah, you're done with. And then they kind of just hobble off into the frame, don't they? Kind of all hugging each other, which is like bromance again. It's kind of the end of it. Like,
but yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was, you know, I really like the music, and that was by Leith Stevens.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think what else he's done the music for that I would know. Nothing that I really know, but I quite liked it.
I get the impression from reading like her biography, Lupino, she had like teams that she worked with all the time. Like this was co-written and kind of helped be produced by her husband at the time, Collier Young. They divorced later, but like at this time they made these films together and stuff. So
I mean, that's not uncommon for film. I mean, you know, you look at Akira Kurosawa, who kind of had the same team for most of his films, and you know, the Ealing Studios probably had a lot of the same like crew and stuff like that they used a lot.
And the cinematographer was by Nicholas Muskara. He's got a huge list here. I don't know, like
Cat People. He did Cat People in reference to last week's.
Yeah. Oh, you did The Ghost Ship. I don't know, Bedlam.
So it looked like he did a lot of genre kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, kind of.
A lot of these sound like they're probably noirs. Just guessing. But yeah, I'm the same. I enjoyed it. It's perfectly enjoyable, and as like a bit of a history piece, as a bit of film history, it's I thought it was just really cool to watch, really, more than anything else. Like, and yeah, it was good. I mean, it's the timing's a bit weird because it's quite short. It doesn't, you know, it's kind of flows a bit weirdly because of that. But and I mean like, it doesn't feel televisual, but there was a certain elements of televisual stuff about it, and I think that's more because of the timing of it, how short it was.
Yeah, and the budget as well, maybe as well. Yeah. But I thought it was short. I thought it looked fairly decent, and
yeah. I don't mean it as an insult. Like, and like you get a lot of it takes it even though it's short, and even though like there's not a whole lot of plot to it, it takes its time with what it has. It doesn't feel rushed at all. There's still like, you know, it takes its time to do wide scenes to show you the desert, to show you the environment to show you like what they feel like and look like in it. It builds the characters. I really like William Talman. I did think he was really good. And I don't know, I was quite impressed by it. I enjoyed watching it. Like,
what would you give it out of 5 then?
3.5 probably.
Yeah,
inching to 4.
Probably the same. It's a solid picture.
Solid picture. Those dames can make films, make pictures. Sorry,
they can. I mean, yeah, it was really good. So, what are we talking about next week then?
I don't know. Okay. Next week we're going in proper B movie territory because we're doing the giant ant picture. Them.
Oh yeah.
We should have our friend James Rayner returning.
Is it
Talk about
Ants
horror
with
movies.
Woody Allen?
Ants with Woody Allen, yes. That's what we're doing next week. With Sty Stallone. Like, I've never seen them. I barely know anything about it. I know it totally by the poster more than anything else.
Yeah,
Just reputation. Like, but it'd be interesting to see what like sci-fi B movies were like in the 50s, I think.
I'm looking forward to it. Right then, thanks for listening. And as we said earlier, please check us out on Twitter. We are at AdjustYourTracking with a YR, not a your. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Be it Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast from, you'll find us. And please, like as I said, rate, review, and subscribe. And yeah, don't forget, if the picture's bad, always adjust your tracking.